Alright, good evening everybody. City of Clear Lake Shores City Council regular meeting December 7th, 2021 at 6:30. We have called the meeting to order and we have a quorum of all council members present. So item 2, pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the Texas flag. Alright, Miss Amy Hoff, you here? No? Oh, there you are, over there. Okay. Alright, so I get to do a fun proclamation, so bear with me while I read all this out. So the proclamation of the City of Clear Lake Shores, Texas. Whereas the Girl Scouts Gold Award is the most prestigious award and the highest rank of achievement in Girl Scouting, and whereas the Girl Scout Gold Award has stood for excellence in leadership since 1916 and is presented to a young woman who aspires to transform an idea and vision for change in an actionable plan with measurable, sustainable, and far-reaching results. And whereas Girl Scouts Amy Hoff has planned and executed a significant Take Action project in response to pressing community needs to provide public awareness and education about the importance of adopting animals, or fur babies, as she calls them, from overpopulated animal shelters to give them a loving home. And whereas Ms. Amy Hoff has addressed the root cause of a problem, planned and implemented innovative solutions to drive change and lead a team of people to success. And whereas Amy continues to provide helpful information on the health benefits of pet spaying and neutering, vaccinations, and proper care, and she will host an event on January 8th, 2022 at Bayou Animal Services called Creating a Community of Care for All Fur Babies. Now therefore, I, Kurt Otten, Mayor of the City of Clear Lake Shores, Texas, do hereby recognize and commend Ms. Amy Hoff for this accomplishment, and encourage all citizens to applaud this young woman for working towards the Gold Award and highest rank in Girl Scouting. I hereby proclaim January 8th, 2022, creating a community of care for all fur babies. No, she talked last time. Amy, did you have anything that you'd like to say? No? Yep, okay. You did say it last time, I thought so.
Just making sure.
Alright, next is item 4, reports from council. Councilman Steve Werdes.
The only thing I'd like to say is thank you to our police department for the speed meter located on Birch Road. It does seem to be having a positive effect. I walk my dog twice a day. My wife walks the dog probably several times more than that. And while I still see some people going along, it seems like once that sign pops up with the speed that they're traveling at, I see brake lights. So it's thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Werdes. Councilman Rick Fisher.
Other than a fantastic lunch today over at Spicy Panda, highly recommend it. Nothing to report.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Councilwoman Monica Leday.
I don't have anything to report at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Leday. Councilman Alex Scanlon.
No report tonight.
All right, thank you. And Councilman Randy Chronister.
I don't have anything to report.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chronister. A few items. First, I want to thank everybody that donated and came out or participated in this year's Heart Walk. It was a great event, and the weather was awesome, and we also won, so that was really great, and kudos to everybody that donated and came and participated. We raised over $3,500 just in our community, and you compare that to Friendswood and League City and Kemah, and we beat all those folks, so that's really great, and we're the smallest town. So congratulations to Clear Lake Shores on that. I also want to congratulate the Civic Club in doing all the Thanksgiving and that whole committee. That really was a great event. And then next, just going down the line of recognizing folks here, the Christmas tree lighting was spectacular. I think we got some scars over there on Mr. Chief Keel, but other than that, the fireworks were really good. Special thanks to everybody on this Parks Committee and Diane Chronister for doing such a wonderful job. Having Pastor Ben out there from City Mark Church was also great, and singing along with all the songs. And then the city and co-hosting the event with the Civic Club. We had a lot of giveaways for the kids, and I think we had all of our stuff that we bought was all taken and used. We had a ton of toys. We took those up to Interfaith Ministries on Monday morning, and they loved that, and we've got a whole truckload of food going to the Galveston County Food Bank later this week, so kudos to everybody on that. Just a little information. I know a lot of folks have received water bills, and there was a fee for a charity fee for doing an event with the police departments, and I was going to go talk to the WCID 12 board later in the month, just saying that might have not been the best way to do that, and try to get in front of that in the next time, because everybody got charged the money up front on their bill, and if you didn't look closely, you end up paying that amount. And just to get out there to everybody that they have organized a phone number, or just call the office and they'll take that fee off for you, so in case you don't want to pay that. Also today, just repeat what Rick said was about the ribbon cutting at Spicy Panda. That really came out good with Alex Liu as the owner. Food was amazing, and hope everybody get out there and promote that place as a new business in our city, and also to promote all of your local shopping to our local businesses, because that's all good for us, and it's great to keep those guys going. Lastly, I'll be collecting still for the Galveston Food Bank over at City Hall, so bring your food over there for that, non-perishable items. And other than that, there's no CC meeting on, that's what I have here, no City Council meeting on the 15th, so we will see you next year on January 7th, and so I just want to express from my family to everybody here, have a safe and happy holiday, and a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thanks. Next is staff reports, Police Department Chief Keel.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Before I give my report, I want to just touch on that WCID fundraiser. We do not want to appear that we don't want to participate in fundraisers and Toys for Tots and all those things, but I do want to clarify, we were not contacted or told about it. I think I was told about it from the mayor. I did receive a phone call from the director over there, and he tried to explain it to me, and wanted to know if we wanted him to rebroadcast that and take our name off of it, and that kind of seemed like it would have a bad image of us. So I just told him to whatever people donated, give that to the fire department. I think they were actually doing a fundraiser. Yeah, I don't think anybody got told about it, but anyway, we didn't authorize that or weren't contacted about it, and he tried to explain it to me on the phone. I just felt it would be better just leave it like it was, and people can get their money back if they paid their bill without looking at it. So my apologies for that. It's one of those things that happens, and really had no way of knowing until the mayor came and told me that it was out there. So I'll just extend our apologies for that, the way that came across. The police department report for the month of November. We conducted 276 traffic contacts. We made 1 DWI arrest. We made 7 narcotics arrests. We did have one burglary of a habitation reported. We did take a report of a sexual assault. There are 3 thefts. We made 35 arrests, including warrant arrests. We conducted 8 other agency assists. We performed 34 residential checks and 441 business checks during the month of November. That's all I have.
Thank you, Chief Gill. Next is Building Official Kevin Harrell.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. A building report for the last meeting. I've issued 25 permits. Currently have 3 new homes going up. There's currently 10 homes being constructed on the island, so it's pretty busy construction-wise. Commercially, the car wash is on hold, and Galveston Bay Brewing Company is continuing working, and I've done a couple inspections there. Code enforcement, I currently only have 1 case, which has now been issued a bench warrant, and that's all I have.
I have a question. You had mentioned the car wash last time. What is the problem?
They are having a dispute with Target, and it is about parking. Because
Okay.
that portion of that area is owned by Target, and they do have to get their permission. So they're discussing parking issues.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Kevin. Next is Clear Lake Shores Kima Volunteer Fire Chief Seneca.
Okay, I got the statistics for the month of November. We had a total of 41 calls for service, 19 of those being EMS, 22 of those being fire or motor vehicle related incidents. 9.76% of those calls were second out or overlapping calls. Our average response time overall was 1 minute. Our average shoot time was 1 minute and 38 seconds. So that's up 38 seconds from the previous month. But some of that's due to the overlapping calls. And our average response time was 3 minutes and 34 seconds. We attended the Chick-fil-A and the PR event as well as the Christmas tree lighting, and nothing else major, and that's all I have.
You didn't get called up to save his arm yet, huh? That's right. All right, thanks. All right, next is Galveston County Health District, Amy Weber, and she's not present. And next is City Administrator Brent Spear.
Good evening. I'll try to keep it brief. You have my report, and we have a few things on the agenda. This is the holiday season, and the calendar keeps filling up. So on the 9th is the Grinch Parade. It's with the police department. They'll start at 6 o'clock at Jarbo, and the Grinch will be in attendance. So that's always something fun. And Cindy Lou Who will not be in attendance this year, but the Grinch will be here. The next thing is, I had it written down on here. I have so many things running through my head. The Holiday Boat Parade is on Saturday the 11th. So if you're here, you're probably going to be on the perimeter of the island and watching all the colorful boats go by. It starts at 6 o'clock. It's actually fashioned over at Kima Boardwalk, but I'm sure they'll start chambering up and driving around before that. So that's something. And then the fire department taking his thunder too tonight. On December 13th is Santa Around Town. So they're going to start in Kima. They're going to wind around. They're going to come across on Birch Road Bridge, make the perimeter of the island portion of the city, and then back out Clear Lake Road, and 2 other points in Kima and unincorporated Galveston County. So I believe that starts at 6 in Kima, and we anticipate their arrival in Clear Lake Shores around 6:45, I think, as far as timing goes. And if you've noticed, the paving projects are complete. We had some dress up done on the front parking lots, and new stop blocks have been painted. So no excuse to miss those stop signs. Be aware that they're there, and I just want to wish everybody a happy holiday season, Merry Christmas, as we move forward. And not going to see you for a long time, it seems like, but please be safe and enjoy your holiday season.
Thank you, Brent, and good report on all our holiday activities. Item number 6, public comments. At this time, any person with city-related business may speak to City Council. Topic of discussion must be consistent with an item listed on the agenda. In compliance with the Texas Open Meeting Act, City Council may not deliberate. Comments from the public should be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes per individual. Do we have anybody like to speak to council at this time? If you can go to the podium, please, and state your name and where you live. You have to probably turn that microphone on, I'm sorry. It's the button on the top, most towards you.
My name is Robert Roldan. We're the property owners for me and my wife for 22 Tyndall. We're the new generation, obviously, that's taking over the neighborhood. What you have created is really beautiful. We are considering investing more in building the house, but we see a very big deficiency, and we have questions concerning the road level when there is high water events. It seems that it's very regular that emergency access is cut off to Tyndall Street anytime high water rises. We don't want to really invest more into building if the public road is not going to be accessible during emergencies. We'd like to know what the city is thinking about doing, and if you've even discussed the idea. The drainage is also a problem. It seems like it's been done in the last few years, but there seems to still be a recurring problem. I was wondering if y'all could address any ideas or things that are in the works that are going to happen for 22 Tyndall, or for Tyndall Street in general.
Yes, sir. If you could get with Mr. Harrell, he can maybe help you out, and then any of the council members. Thank you. All right, next is consent agenda. Any opposition or any items want to be pulled from consent agenda, A through D? Having none, any opposition to approving consent agenda A through D? Having none, consent agenda is accepted. Item 8, new business discussion and possible action may be taken on the following items. Item A is Cobb Finley Master Service Agreement. Mr. Spear.
Hello again. We have Mr. Brad Matlock in
I'm going to turn that one off, please. There you go.
Hello, hello, okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Matlock is here from Cobb Finley, and he is pretty much by default been involved with the city for many, many years and knows a lot of the city. He contacted me about a master service agreement. The last master service agreement was signed and dated in 2009, and so it's been quite a lengthy time that we haven't updated. And the master service agreement is just basically an agreement that the city agrees to pay them for services rendered, and it has a formula that's built into it, which is based on the pay rates of the people that do the work. And it hasn't been necessary in most recent years because most of our engineering services have been wrapped up into larger projects. So we've done large projects, and the engineering services were rolled into that. And now we have smaller kind of sideline engineering requirements for reviews and things like that, that we need to make sure that we have that pricing handled. So he did provide that MSA. Olson & Olson did a review, and we made some necessary changes to that because there was changes in the state law where it was referenced, and there was some change in some language, but overall it was fine and was approved by Olson & Olson, and I'd recommend an approval tonight so we can continue to move forward with an on as needed basis a way to compensate them. And if you have any questions, Mr. Matlock can answer those.
I'll motion to approve the Cobb Finley Master Service Agreement.
I'll second it.
So we have a motion from Mr. Scanlon, a second from Ms. Leday to approve. Any discussion? Having none. Everyone in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion passes. passes. Item B, employee insurance plans for calendar year 2022.
At the last meeting, we received the rate updates. Normally this wouldn't necessarily come before the council because we had a kind of a preloaded increase into the budget that was already approved. In this case, had a 5% adder for the insurance, and it went up 14.5%, which was unanticipated, but it's basically due to our census and our numbers of people, as I've explained previously. So in looking at this plan versus potential plans that are similarly priced this year to keep us within that budget item, it would increase out of pocket for the employee at a rate of 240% for the out of pocket deductible. So I've included in my packet that you have it's just one page of about 27 pages of available plans, but it compares last year's plan to the renewal this year, and then on the back side are grade plans that are at the silver level that would keep the costs the same, and I've made a notation there of 240% increase on those to the employees. The net result is it's about $3,000 per month increase to the city, and it's unavoidable. We've asked for rate relief, but it's unavailable on this. We're still not at the high end of the rate increases. Mr. Pons is here, who deals with this all the time, and I want to say the higher increases are in the 20s. 2019. So 19 was the highest, and I don't think there were any that held rates through the year that he's aware of. So if you have specific questions on that plan, Mr. Pons can answer that, but that's my high flyover.
I'll motion to approve the employee insurance plans for calendar year 2022.
I'll second that.
I have a motion from Mr. Scanlon, a second from Ms. Leday. Any discussion?
Get this thing on. So on the plan that we're on right now, I guess it's the gold plan?
Yes, a previous plan. That's at the top. I might say current, and then there's another one that's called renewal, and they're both gold.
Okay, so it looks like, yeah, you said the deductibles. Now I guess that's just the out of pocket for anything is what went up to from 1 to 3,000, or what were some of the other increases that were in there too?
You can. I didn't commit it all to memory. It's you kind of have to follow it like a road map. So if you let's see, 10, 20, 70, 120, 150, and 250 becomes 5, 15, 15, 100, 250, and 350 on some plans. Those are based on levels of service of specialists, and it's hard to read. The max out of pocket remains the same, 6,000 on those, and goes to varying degrees, 6,900, 8,700, 8,500. And then the over where it says total census, and it has a listing there where it adds them up, that are the people that fall into the age brackets. So they're not identified. It's just that you know where those rates are generated. If there is a change in the plan from what we have already, then we will have 1 month
in 2022 that will be at this current, at the new renewal rate, and then the new plan will go into effect on February 1st. So, that's my experience. That's usually troublesome because by the time the insurance company makes those changes and you've updated records, if you go to the doctor, they're still supplying those against your plan the year before, and it may take 5, 6, 7 months. In a good year, it might take a whole year, and you could be into another plan by the time they figure that out and resubmit it to the new one. And in the meantime, usually the employees receive letters of varying degrees of, threats of legal action, and you need to pay this, and what's going on, and it kind of goes into an insurance no man's land. So they have to get that figured out and updated. Yes, Mike.
So if I remember correctly from the last meeting, you felt like you had room in the budget to absorb the additional costs and leaving the plans as is, correct?
With the savings of the front loader?
Yeah, that's 17,000 on that doesn't come out of capital equipment improvement. I think it's really hard to budget and forecast because we're relying on sales tax, and so that's if somebody has a better crystal ball than I do, and I'm sure somebody does, I'd like to see it, but that's what I'm trying to benchmark against, and it's a moving target. It does change, so.
The motion on the floor is to approve it.
To approve the change or to approve leaving it?
Leaving it with the gold package that's proposed by the city administrator. This same package, leaving it the same package, which is the blue choice gold PPO 823, and then a bunch of other little numbers I can't read, but they match the one above it.
It would be a renewal of the current plan.
G654CHC.
That's the current one.
That's the renewal, and it matches the current. It does change a couple things on the rates. Instead, before it was 0, 10, 50, 100, 150, 250, it now goes to 10, 20, 70, 120, 150, and 250. And you have an increase of 20,769 to 23,812. So right,
That's per month? That's per month?
Per month, yeah. Any further discussion? Having none, we'll take a vote. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Is that an aye?
Yeah.
All aye. Any opposed, nay? Having none, motion passed unanimously. Alright, moving to item C, amendment of the Lee purchase agreement allowing for licensing agreement. Mr. Spear.
This is a revision required by some changes to the lease agreement with the Lees regarding what we refer to as the east parking lot, Clear Lake Road and Marina Bay Boulevard. This is to allow the city to enter into a licensing agreement with Galveston Bay Brewing as they relocate their entrance to the west side of that building. It would allow them, with permission of the Lees, in single cases, and in this case allowing them to do it to build their entrance that would encroach upon the ADA compliant ramp, would encroach upon the parking lot, and it would also provide for placement of ADA parking next to that ramp. since the city does not own that, they cannot grant license for that. So it's still under the purview of the lease. And there will be a change that will be coming forth on the actual licensing agreement that will include the only problem that when I spoke to Mrs. Lee and then her attorney was that they did not want to grant the city carte blanche to grant any number of licensing agreements that would allow for those things to happen. So it's case by case basis, and then it's only for this specific case. And the other thing would be if the city were ever to default on that purchase agreement, that any and all encroachments that were granted and approved on a case by case basis be removed. I do not anticipate that happening. The city is in the parking lot business to support our locations, and would not anticipate that on the horizon of being a possible action. So I would move to or recommend that you would approve this, and then you'll have some additional documents coming that flesh out those other details that I explained to you.
It's Alex's night.
Come on, Alex.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
I'll second it.
Alright, we have a motion from Mr. Cronister, second by Mr. Fisher. Any further discussion? Having none, all in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion passed unanimously. Item D is review and approve police department vehicle replacement program. Mr. Spear.
Final item. Yesterday there was a workshop that took place in this very room. Council was present for that. Thank you for your participation in doing so, and we reviewed the options regarding purchase, in keeping with the plan that's established by prior council, and, versus a lease program to replace the entire fleet and go into a four-year term on that lease. One of the things that I was charged with, I won't go through all of the details because we covered those yesterday, and I think you have enough and adequate information. But one of the things that I was to get back to you on was the availability of units as they stand now, and delivery. I did include a copy of the HGAC buy sheet. I was able to get with Caldwell Company or Caldwell Country, also known as Rockdale Country Ford. I think they sell every police car in the state, seems like, under different badges. But this is for the specified unit, and it starts at that base unit price and then adds what's called the K8A package, which is comparable to the leased vehicles that were presented at $44,000. So with all of those things considered, they're on the lot. They can be delivered in a matter of a couple of days, or you can send somebody up with a truckload of people and drive them back. But for 4 units, it would be $146,020. And of course, then they would have to be upfitted, which we know about that cost. But they are available. These are the 2021 units. There's virtually no change between 21 and 22, and there is a little bit of, they call it floor plan interest and open lot insurance. So there's insurance and interest on that the dealerships accrued through their manufacturer program that needs to be recovered. So it's about $1,400 total on that, and if we ordered direct, we would save that $1,400. Of course, they would be delivered directly to us. They wouldn't go through the dealership and be held there and kept on lot. They have other units available, but my question of if we order, what's the lead time for additional units? He didn't answer my email, so he'd already left for the day. I know that Chevy's already closed they call it closing the bank. They close the bank on new orders, usually somewhere in October or early November. I don't know if Ford's done that, so they stop taking those, and then they wait till after the new year to take new orders. So I have that question out there as well. But, units are available, they're on the ground, and they could be converted, relatively expeditiously. And I think,
Underneath your email, it says 2022, so you mentioned those 2021
oh,
models.
evidently he updated to 2022. I thought they were 21s.
I make a motion that we move to purchase the new vehicle.
Can I interject one thing? I know that, I think the chief was working, unless you received some documents from him on what he was working on, I thought he had some things to check back with you, so.
You can make a motion to approve or discuss.
Okay, I make a motion to discuss purchasing the new vehicle.
I'll second the motion.
So, this purchasing does not include any trade-in, right? That's just straight out purchasing.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
The purchasing of the vehicles that you're mentioning here does not include trading anything in, right?
Correct. There's no trade on there. I also confirmed that, the other thing I confirmed was the warranty. So there is a 336 bumper-to-bumper warranty on all of these vehicles, and the powertrain warranty available from Ford now is 5 years, 100,000 miles on the powertrain, and that is matching. They actually changed that from 60,000, 5 years and 60,000 to 5 years and 100,000 to match what Chevy's doing with the Tahoes. So they're all competing for dollars, and they're trying to provide similar perks, and I found that was interesting that it does have the 100,000 mile warranty on the powertrain only. So that wouldn't cover an AC compressor like we experience most of our failures, but if you had a cam that broke or something like that, an internal lubricated part in the engine or transmission, that would be covered up to 100,000 miles or 5 years.
These 4 vehicles that are presently available, they are complete. They're not missing any computer chips or any other nonsense like that.
They're ready to go.
So the goal is to have 10 in the fleet, correct?
In a perfect world, yes.
Okay, so if we buy 4 and we keep 5 of the good ones, and then we've got the 2014 that's already been sold at auction. We have the other 3 we can sell based on this Kelley Blue Book, approximately $34,000 in value. Take a little bit more and buy the 5th one that we need, or the 10th one technically that we need, and then we'd have 10. And then next year buy 2, remove the 2 oldest, trade those in the next year, and then that way we'd have a constant every 2 years of good cars, right? Am I making sense?
That's the theory, yes.
Yeah.
And then that way we don't have a lease payment every month. And if we find ourselves in 4 years not able to buy new, or whatever, whenever, not able to buy, not having the cash flow, then we go to the lease program. But while we have the cash, yes, we'll buy them.
I believe there's still a lot of discussion to be made about it. I don't think I can make a clear-cut decision one way or the other. I didn't get a whole lot out of that workshop, honestly. I have more questions than answers. And so instead of trying to do this in a meeting, I think we should have another workshop. And I think we should discuss it more.
So in the workshop yesterday, we mentioned if we do the lease program, having to go out for an RFP.
Correct.
I hate to add to your plate, but could you maybe possibly look at another lease option prior to us having another workshop and make sure that this is or have you already done that research to make sure that, in your opinion, that's the best option?
When I spoke with the representative from Enterprise today, he told me that they always work with those RFPs, and there is a source for those called TIPS and SourceFlow or SourceWell, who has already vetted other lease companies for their programs, and by going through them for those RFPs, they would be able to give you a complete list of all the other programs and all the other bids that you could receive, which cuts down the time on the RFP tremendously. Since I've never written an RFP, I'd be working closely with Mr. Spear and try to get those things done as quickly as possible. The lease program was an option that I was looking for to try to get the bigger bang for our buck. And if we decide on a purchase or we decide on a lease, we need to be looking at what's best for the city and the citizens. So I'm not stuck on lease. We need 10 cars total, and an option is 7 marked patrol units. He found 4 today for purchase. If we could, in the meantime, be looking for 3 others, we could drive the other black cars for a few more years until we were able to buy more. It doesn't matter to me if we own them or if we lease them. Lease is just an option that I was looking at. Ultimately, I need 10 cars to operate the police department, and those numbers that we have currently are going down rapidly and about to be a very impactful situation. So
Yeah, I definitely don't want to stretch it out any longer than it's already gone. But I think that, in my opinion, if anybody cares, that while we have the trade value as high as it is right now, we might ought to capitalize on it. I mean, in doing some research yesterday, the trade-in value is incredible. So taking advantage of a car that's really worth nothing and getting 10 grand for it, I think is a pretty good deal for the city. I know.
I think the big thing we're dealing with right now is going to be availability. Like I said, if we do a purchase right now, we've got 4 we can get.
yes, that was another question that was posed to me, is what was the turnaround time on ordering through the lease program, and the response I got just before council, I got it at 452. This is a 20 to 22 week turnaround, 5.5 months. The 2 that we learned of for purchase in Oklahoma, we can't do that. The 4 that he located in Round Rock are available as soon as tomorrow, or as soon as we could get there, honestly. And that's an option, and it's a Band-Aid that would keep us in business, but we would need to be looking for more cars at the same time.
So there'd be nothing wrong with considering maybe doing a purchase and then perhaps doing a lease on others based on availability in the future to get the rest of the fleet up to date.
Correct. I don't care where we get them.
Right.
Tell me where.
So right now it sounds like we decided to go with the lease, though, that we wouldn't get any cars until May. Yeah, if we're looking
at least May. It would be longer than that because of the RFP issue. Again, I'm not locked on lease. I'm just trying to provide an option. So if we voted to buy cars tonight and we were able to locate 4 and then maybe another one somewhere else or another one somewhere else, I'm not opposed to it. I have a service to provide the city, and that's the only way we can do it. Otherwise, we're going to stripe out the black units, and police officers are going to be driving those around because it's got to happen.
So the 2 vehicles that have the 70,000 miles on them, do you feel like they have another year in them?
I'm not sure which ones you're talking about. 1406?
1403 and 1402.
They have the least mechanical issues at this time. 1406 is literally gasping for air as we speak.
Yeah, I'm not proposing we keep that one. I mean, my thought process was keeping 1403, 4521, 1402, 1401, and 4020. Keep those 5. Buy 4 more. Once we sell 1407, 1406, and 1404, we'll have approximately $34,000. Buy another one, and that'll give you 5 new cars, 5 dated cars, and then in another year, trade in the 2 that have the 70,000 miles on them, get 2 new ones, and then in another year, trade in the other 2 that have the 60,000 miles on them, and get 2 new ones.
Well, let me speed that up just a little bit for you, because we do have the 1405 that was wrecked, that we got, an insurance payment on that.
That's 19K.
Well, that's already included in the tally, isn't it?
Has not been moved into the CIP yet.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't including that one just because I thought it was already included in the total amount of money in the fund.
I'm not sure if, Mr. Spear had that in there or not.
But if not, then that's even better. I mean, that's another 19,000 for the 5th car.
On the insurance one, I had factored that out already.
Okay. So, in answer to your question, I'm not opposed to getting 4, and then I would ask that we were actively seeking more replacements.
That's what I was gonna add is, you know, get 4 right away and then go start looking for 2 more within the next 6 months and see how our budget's doing in quarter 3. And if quarter 3 is looking promising, then we should be able to buy in quarter 4.
Well, certainly I would ask for at least 1 more before 6 months, if we found one, to go get it.
Well, if you get another one by quarter 3, that still beats the lease program delivery.
Yes.
And when I spoke to the dealership, they had several white units and they had several black units on the lot, so I just inquired about the 4. I didn't ask about additionals, and my plan was exactly as we have kind of walked around, that it makes sense to maybe liquidate some of our own vehicles and then purchase a 5th at a later date.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that we should hold on to the good ones and add to, not
Well, the good
take
ones
away.
that you're discussing are the black ones that aren't, marked for patrol. We would have to do that if that was an option, but it looks like if that other dealership had 4 white ones in any other color, we could deal with figuring that out, wrapping it or something to that effect, but we'll figure that out.
Is there a reason we were moving to the white ones, away from the black ones?
We talked about the white ones because of the availability. Not having to order it because it's a 22-week turnaround. So.
What does the transition period look like if you lease? Do the vehicles come in on a truck and they're ready to go and you just swap them right then, or?
Yes. So they go from the resource where they get the vehicles from straight to the outfitter, and they upfit them as to spec, and then they're delivered or we pick them up. It just depends on where they're at. Same as buying a vehicle, you have to go.
Is there anything with cameras and stuff we'll have to work through? I mean, is it a 1-for-1 swap up and running the next day, or?
For 5 cars, we would have to kind of
10.
stagger them.
No, I'm talking about for the 10.
Oh, for
if you
10?
went with the lease.
Yeah, for 10 cars, we would outfit the supervisor's cars a little different. They wouldn't have a lot of the equipment that's required in the marked units. The cameras, we'd have to buy 2, and we'd move radios out of the supervisor's units and put converters for their handheld radios. There's a lot of things we're looking at doing to try to facilitate that. There is a swap
so there's
kind
some
of gap.
phasing to that.
Yes.
Compared to just buying 4, getting them upfitted, and then turning them on.
Well, even buying 4, we take some stuff out of the other cars, like the cameras and the radios, which are proprietary. They're ours anyway.
Do you have a person that comes here and does that on location, or?
Safety vision for the cameras will come here. The rest of the radios goes to Motorola, which is in Deer Park. It's kind of a balancing act, getting one out of service, getting one back in service, and kind of working it. You know, it'd take a couple of weeks to get it all done.
Yes, one question I've got too. Traditionally, whenever we've got new vehicles, they've done the waterfall, that the new ones go to the supervisors, and then those supervisors' cars goes down and go into the patrol vehicles.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, for just when we're getting 4 cars, as far as the supervisors and you guys put a lot less wear and tear on those cars than the standard patrol officer. So I think the cost savings to us, not having to go and re-outfit supervisor cars to patrol vehicles and then get those ready for the supervisor position, just leave the 3 supervisor cars where they are.
Absolutely.
And just take those 4 and put them directly into service for the everyday department.
That's correct. I'm not a big fan of giving the top guys the brand new cars. Brand new cars need to be out there working, and I'm not opposed to driving my car till the wheels fall off. Those guys that are out there making their living in that car need the best thing I can give them, and I will.
We're talking about buying 4, trading in 3, and we already have one out of the cycle. What if we only trade in the 2, the 1407 and 1406, and the 1404 we're proposing to trade in only has 90,000 miles on it? You'd have your 10 cars right there, and they'd all be under 100,000. Is there an issue with 1404?
Not today. It's 1404 is a 2015, so it's 6 years old and at 90,000 miles. Certainly, the mileage would slow down. It wouldn't accumulate so fast. And if we bought or leased, it doesn't matter. 10 is optimal, and that's what I'm asking for. I'm willing to compromise and do whatever it takes to get new cars on the street, so that it doesn't impact us as I know it sounds like 10 cars is that's crazy to ask for that. Maybe it is, but that's what we have to have, and that looks out for the interests of the citizens, even on the back end of that. Those cars will be running 5-6 years from now. The lease, they would be replaced in 4 years. The purchase, we'd have to figure something out in 4 years or 5 years, however long that is.
Well, I like this idea there. If we just kept an extra one, that would give you the 10 cars. And then also, I think, like we discussed yesterday, if we have 10 cars, they're not going to be driven 24/7 then. So the mileage, the wear and tear is going to go down considerably.
Yeah.
Compared to how bad they're getting beat up today, and or currently, I should say.
Yeah. So buying the cars is an option, because the equipment that's in those cars, as far as emergency equipment that we don't switch over to the new cars, would only fit in the Tahoe anyway. So that has to be upfitted with the new cars. So if we don't have to sell any of them or trade any of them in, or we keep driving some of the best ones, I'm all for it. We have to figure out a way to get 10 cars running, and that's an option to do that. The maintenance will be an issue, but it's not like we haven't been dealing with maintenance for all the cars right now. So I'm not opposed to any of those options.
So let me throw this out here just for a second, just looking at some quick numbers. I mean, we do have, what was it in the CIP, 340? And that's not minus the tractor yet? So, I mean, you could go 5 cars, and you're looking at 242 with all the upfitting.
Does that account for the money we just allocated for the healthcare increase that was coming out of the same fund?
It does. Plus, you gotta remember, we're gonna get 34,000 back in, approximately.
And if we could find another car, that's 5 line units plus the 3 that we have for supervisors. We could make that work.
And still continue to look for 2 next fiscal year. I mean, that's only 3 quarters away.
Well, I'm going to be absolutely transparent with you. I'm going to be looking for them right now. And if I can beat you up long enough, I think I can make you buy them quicker than that. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
So, Brent, you said the 4 they had available are the white cars, correct? And that's what you got the quote on. You said they do have black cars available, and the only difference is just the color of the paint, correct?
Yeah, that's it. They may have more white ones. I was just comparing my 4. That was what.
We only looked up 4. It could be 6.
Okay.
7.
Yeah, they may have more.
Yeah. I mean, I'm of the opinion that we need to go with 5. The one with 90,000 miles on, it just doesn't make sense to keep it. not at the current trade-in values, 'cause that could change in 2 months.
Well,
And we
if we went with 5 and we kept whatever we had to until it stopped, if it gets us 2 months down the road with 5 brand new cars right now, then I'm not opposed to accepting that option.
And one of the big issues is some of the other cities have is they don't have the CIP available. So the lease options are winners for them because to get their replacement program, they don't have the funds available. So good planning by our previous councils, and then to continue to fund the CIP as Brent's proposed over the next budget year to make sure we maintain that for your replacement plan.
Or might add for public works someday. They may have a need for a new truck, and I wouldn't propose a diesel flatbed truck. I'd propose something different, but it's there for any of the capital purchases over $5,000. That would be equipment, vehicles, and like backhoes and things like that.
So Randy, you said you had a bunch of questions, but you're awfully quiet.
I wasn't sure that a lease wasn't what we needed. I mean, if we're talking about buying 5 cars, last night we weren't talking about buying 5. And we weren't talking about getting 5 in the next year. So that's a different story than what we talked about last night.
The big issue we were having last night was gonna be availability. And, I mean, it sounds like we've got these available. And going with the lease program, if we did that, right now we're talking May. Do we get the first one on property?
According to Josh over at Enterprise, it's 20 to 22 weeks. And he was still checking on available stock, but, this came in at 452, and I was trying to get something in your hands so we could talk about this. Again, last night we weren't talking about 5, and we don't know that Caldwell doesn't have more cars that we could wrap or whatever. We will have some cars that don't match at some point, but we'll figure out a way through that. And can't get everything you want, but we do have to get everything we need. And a tomorrow turnaround certainly beats a May turnaround, and I'm not opposed to it, as long as we clearly state that we're gonna keep this program up. And I'm not sitting here in the same position in 4 years or 5 years, because it's difficult to be consumed with this project for 7-8 months, and still not we're no closer today than we were 7-8 months ago when I first reported this situation. So I'm absolutely excited if we're going to do something, and whatever we decide to do, that's the pony we're going to ride, and we're going to do it, and we're going to make it right.
If we purchase 4 or 5 at this point, we're going to have 5 cars that are all going to age out at the very similar time. We're going to be in not as great of a pattern as we were set up in 2015. We were acquiring 2 cars every couple of years. They were all aging out, and you kind of knew which one was next. If we do purchase, I think, more than 3, we need to make some kind of provision for accounting for that, because at $14,000 a year, so say in 6 years, suddenly we need to buy 5 more cars. Are we going to be in this position again to purchase that many?
Well, that's why I was suggesting rotating it 1 or 2 a year.
Based on what we're talking about now, that's probably not going to happen, because we're going to have cars that have miles on them that are going to purge 2 or 3 of those out at one time. And based on the fact that we're buying 5, if we end up with 10, the mileage gets cut in half. You're not using them for 2 or 3 shifts at a time. You're using 1 car per shift. so they're gonna last longer, and you can purge them out 2 at a time at that point, moving forward.
Early cycle them or
just get rid of a
through
little,
fleet management, which is up to TK's responsibility to put which cars go out.
And that was where the, discussion about
Okay.
that's where the number of 10 came from, was to extend the life of those cars for the purpose of keeping the mileage low. You know, I've driven police cars for 9 years. I was the only guy in it, and it lasted, and I had well over 100,000 miles, and if they gave it back to me today, I'd take it because it was in good shape. And that's what these guys will do with those cars if they're given everybody has their own car. That's the best way to make a car last, I promise you. There's studies out there. Other agencies do that for that single purpose. But that's a discussion for another day once we get all the cars.
Understood. I guess I need to wait for Randy to come back.
You don't have to. It would be nice, but you don't have to.
we'll wait for him.
Yeah, let's wait for him.
It'd be cordial.
Yeah, I mean, the major benefits that I found from Lease was current safety features, newer vehicles all the time. Some of them do include oil and scheduled maintenance. I guess Enterprise didn't. Trade-in values hold.
Right.
But
Now, I'll tell you that
we're
we
always making payments, and if we have the money to buy it, it makes more sense to me to buy it. And then when we're in a cash crunch, if we are, then at that point we look at the lease program. Because the
Right,
lease
and
program's always going to be
we do have a maintenance, schedule for those. They don't go, if I find a car that's gone over the mileage for an oil change, then there's a discussion with that person in my office. Those are things you can't skimp on. We spend that money because it saves us money down on the other side. So, maintenance-wise, all of those things are managed by my staff, and I don't have any concerns about keeping those cars running. I inherited a situation that I'm trying to work my way out of. I know it's ugly. I know it doesn't taste good, but we got to do this. So.
Also, on average, we've been running 20 to 28K on maintenance per year. This year, running a little low, so we're only in quarter one. So, with 4 or 5 new cars, I mean that, and the 3 other vehicles, that goes down pretty low.
Like we're all in a game show, waiting to push a button. I keep looking. All right. Well, I'm gonna make a motion to buy cars. I personally make the motion to buy 5 new cars.
We have a motion.
I will second the motion.
All right, we have a motion by Ms. Leday, seconded by Mr. Wordis to procure 5 cars as illustrated in the HGAC that was submitted by Mr. Spear. Any discussion?
So I guess with that would bring our total up to, I'm lousy at doing math in my head like this in public, so. So what the procurement cost on those was gonna be, 36, so I just said 30, so you're basically looking at what, almost $190,000 to, for 5 cars, and you said we've got, how much in the fund right now? Okay.
Yeah, I came up
So
with 242 with upfitting.
Oh, so this does not include the upfitting, this is just for the cars themselves?
That's just the cars by
Okay.
itself. Yeah, 242, 600 with upfitting.
If we buy 5 cars, does that mean we'll be liquidating a 70,000 mile car? No, that means we'll be keeping those and establishing 10. Okay.
Correct. So we'll get rid of 4, which technically 1's already gone.
And any liquidation would have to come from staff and go on the agenda to be approved. So Mr. Keel, Chief Keel would have to come up with a plan for his waterfall and, excessing.
Plus, I would anticipate our maintenance costs to substantially be reduced.
Absolutely.
So it made more money, you could just put more back into the fund, you know, to,
Correct.
procure more, vehicles, in the, future.
Yeah, because in the meantime, I'm gonna keep the best cars, and we may try to implement take-home policy anyway with what we have. That makes the car last longer, and that's really where we've been this whole time, is trying to just keep rolling.
Any further discussion? Having none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion passes unanimously. That completes our assignments for tonight. Everybody have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. We're adjourned at 7:30.